Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, Jody. Give everybody a minute to hop on. Finish my coffee. Hello, Linda. How are you? Hello, Eleanor. Hi, Rosie. How are you doing? I hope everybody is doing great today. It's lovely and sunny here. Had a bit of a panicky moment a few minutes ago because Facebook wouldn't let me on, but I had to log on my computer. Then I could hook up my phone. So who knows? Hello, Jennifer. Hello, Sabrina. I have been playing with the Spellbinders hot foil. I am by no means an expert. However, I have had fun playing with it, and I really feel like it's really fairly straightforward, which is great. It's not complicated. It's, you know, a few steps, and there's definitely lots of stuff I want to try. Hi, Ellie. I thought we'd watercolor, do a little watercoloring today to make this pretty card. So this, when you get the Spellbinders Glimmer machine, it comes with these two hot foil dies. So just a note to say hello, which is in a lovely little script. And these really pretty flowers. And then I've been playing with these Vicki Boutin Cosmic Watercolors. These have come out with her new print shop collection, which you can, I think it's a pre-order, but it's in the store right now, so you can either buy it or pre-order it, however it's in the store. And this is one of the things that came out with it. So I've been playing with it, and I thought I'd kind of show you what the colors look like, and we play around with this with the rainbow foil. So the rainbow foil and the gold foil here come with the Glimmer machine. The Glimmer machine comes with this base, and it has two plates that come with it. It has very clear instructions on how to hot foil, how to use wafer thin dies, and how to letterpress with it. So you can ink up. So definitely I will be doing more with this Glimmer. We're kind of just doing a basic session today. And just showing you how it works. And then you get this really neat little magnet thing. Hi, Tammy, how are you? Hello, Debbie. And so it's gonna pick up your magnet, and then when you press the little button, it lets it go, which is great if it's hot. And then you get this heat mat that you could use for anything, you know, like put your hot glue gun on it. Obviously put your hot foil dies on it when they're hot. So that's nice to kind of have that around. And so we will make that today. Then I also just showing you kind of what I've been making, some samples for the Scrapaganza show that's on the 23rd and 24th. And if you haven't heard about that, it's a show in Calgary, an event where you can come and scrap with us, or You can come and shop with us, and there's still tickets available, so you can check the scrapshotz.com website, and right on that main page you'll find links to all that. There's classes that are happening. XL103 payroll payout. You are, what? You won that? Congratulations, Tammy. That's exciting. You thinking about the glimmer machine? That's very exciting. Congrats. So with this one here, I used the die that came with it, which is a floral die, but I made it into a Christmas card. So I used the hot foil plate set called Glitter Wishes, and you get all these sentiments, lots of sentiments, and you can hot foil any of the sentiments, all of the sentiments, and then you get this die so you can cut out a long strip and just cut it however long you want. Yeah, Tammy, you love it. Hello, Lorraine. And so I glimmered this Christmas Memories Enclosed, and then I just die cut it out and cut off the edges and made this little Christmas card, adding a few little berries and some little, I think these might have been Studio Cadia little gems, and made just a cute little Christmas card. And then another thing that I've made, kind of like show and tell, right? Spellbinders. This isn't using foiling, but just making a sample for the Scrapaganza show. This is the Stitched Joy, and I really, really love this. Hello, Scrapshots, how are you? And Jennifer says, congrats. Yeah, that's really fun. Really fun, Tammy. That's awesome. So I embossed the background with that Tim Holtz doily embossing folder, which I super love. Then I die cut out the Stitched Joy, and it cuts all the little holes out for you. And then I just took some metallic thread. You could use embossing, or sorry, you could use embroidery thread. There's lots of different kinds of metallic thread that you can use. And then I just stitched in, kind of following how they did their stitching there. And then the middle joy word, so the J, O, and Y, you can cut separately and use on anything. I cut them out of the Lawn Fawn Rose metallic cardstock, and look how beautiful they are. And I kind of used a rose gold metallic thread there, and it's so pretty. Thanks, Rosie. Yeah, and it was really relaxing. Just, you know, stitching, and I just, on the back of it, when I wanted to start or stop, I just used a little piece of washi tape and held the thread on the back. And then when I actually used black foam dots, and then just kind of overlapped my washi so everything was stuck down. Hello, Mary. Thanks. It was really fun to do. I just, you know, watched a crafty show and sat and stitched and enjoyed half an hour. What else did I want to show you? Oh, before we do our card, I got the universal plate system from Spellbinders. So I just wanted to kind of run you through what's in this box in case it's something you are wondering about. I have the Spellbinders Platinum 6, and I believe this fits the Big Shot as well, and also fits the Platinum. Spellbinders has a really good video online. Let me just move this stuff and I'll show you. Now, the first thing about these plates, so these are the original plates that come with my machine, and I think eventually they'll replace these plates when they start manufacturing the new ones. They'll replace with this universal plate system. So the main thing with this is that there's so many different embossing folders coming out now with different sizes that it's difficult sometimes to know which one to use with different plates. Or I was using the embossing mat to try and work in the 3D Spellbinders plates. Oh, good, Jennifer, it does work in the Big Shot. Thanks, Linda. And so I'll show you, you've got these three. These are the original ones that come with your Platinum or Platinum 6. So lengthwise, here's the new cutting plate. So you can see, let's hold one of these up. You get longer cutting plates. So if you have longer dies, that's how much longer they are, which is nice. You can do a little bit longer, or those big embossing folders, they're gonna fit the whole way. Then you get in the box, they're lettered from A to F. So you've got the platform base, then you've got a top, and in the instructions, there's instructions online as well as in here. And there's a little, I think there's a little pamphlet. I don't have it right here in front of me. So you've got the A and B. So one of the biggest changes is that this is kind of almost a shim for your base plate. So when you have those thicker embossing folders, you don't need this. Then you've got two cutting plates, which are the exact same thickness as your other cutting plates, just longer. And sorry, and then we have the adapter plate, D. Then we've got our embossing mat, E, and then this little shim, which I've already used this shim quite a bit and really like it. It's really thin, like a really thin piece of paper, but you know, when you just need that little tiny bit of extra, and I found just putting it in with my glimmer machine, which we'll do today, just gave it just a tiny more bit of pressure. So on the website, Spellbinders, and then if you look up Spellbinders paperarts.com and then pages and universal plate system, which I can link that later if you want, then it brings up the web page for the plate system, and it kind of tells you about it and what's included. And then if you scroll down, you're going to see how to build your sandwich for each of the dies, to emboss something, the embossing folder. So pretty standard, but then this is what I think is really good. And they said this is a living document. So as more companies come out with their different sizes of 3D folders, they'll update it. So if you know you have the current 3D Spellbinders folder, they say use sandwich number 2. So you go down here and look at sandwich number 2, and I'm just going to grab a folder. So it says platform base, which is A. And after you do a couple of these, you will completely remember. So we've got our platform base here. Then we want our embossing folder with our paper. So this is one of the current ones. This is the origami folds. I had forgotten I even had this. And you can see that it's pretty thick. So we're going to put our paper in there. And what I do like to do, especially with the 3D folders, is just give it a little mist of water. I'm just going to do that off to the side, but just like mist your spray bottle in the air and kind of put your paper through it. Your paper's not wet or soaking, it's just slightly damp. Okay, so we're going to put our paper in here, and then it has adapter plate D. So move this out of the way, and then I'll show you the other ones that I tried this with, just to kind of see how everything was working. I'm just going to run that through. You can feel that it does have some pressure, definitely, because that folder is big. then when we open our folder, how beautiful. And it embosses it perfectly. Hello, Lillian. So I love this folder. So I do like that you can look on that document. You can bookmark that on your iPad or your computer, and then if you have a different folder, you can just look and easily tell which one you should use. So this one was Altenew. Altenew was on here, and it said Sandwich 5. So which was A, that shim, which was the really small little thin one, the embossing folder, and the adapter plate. And look how beautifully that embossed. Then the doily, the 3D. This one was a little bit tight, and I wasn't sure how it was going to work, but it embossed perfectly. I was really impressed with that. And then this one was a Creative Expressions one. And again, like it just so nicely. So I am really happy about that, because I found that I was really trying to figure out what type of shims to use with my other plates. And I like that you have so many different options and sizes, and then you can easily do that. And the embossing mat here, let's have a look and see if we can, I don't know if I have a die. I can probably try it with a die. You can really have a lot of fun with this embossing mat. This is embossing a cut shape, so your A, your B, your paper, and your die. So say if I just grab this paper and this die, and it says cutting side up, and it's kind of nice, you know, if you're unsure about how to use this stuff, just go through like I did and make a bunch of samples, and then you feel more confident using everything. Then your embossing mat and your adapter plate. So this isn't going to cut our die, and we do need to make sure it's up so that the embossing mat is what it's going to press into. And then adapter plate D. So sometimes you'll notice on dies, you can die cut, and then if you run them through the embossing sandwich, it will create even more detail, and you don't just get the die cut image, you also get the embossed image. So let's just see. I haven't tried this yet, so yeah. So look how pretty this is. Obviously, you'd do something that's a little more centered or whatever, but it's not cut through. You just have this really pretty embossed image. So if you wanted to do something around an edge, if you had a die that you just wanted to almost create that letterpress look, then you can do that with your embossing mat. And let's see, so let's set that off to the side. I will need to do some die cutting, so we'll get that ready in a few minutes. No problem, Irene. We just went through the new extended layers universal plate system. So you can rewatch if you want to find out how that works. Okay, we are going to keep this shim handy. Now we're going to turn this on. I probably could have turned this on earlier. So to use your glimmer machine, it's plugged in. This little plate is inserted and it's turned on. So this is our off-on switch on the back. We turned it on and the light is red, and we are going to wait till the light is green. So let's just get everything out. Now if you are unsure or just want to make sure you don't forget anything, you can grab your little handout that comes with your machine. This is going to get hot, so you don't want to have anything laying on it. And it just tells us that the platform is ready when the indicator light turns green. So that's what we're waiting for. We know that we're going to use this glimmer plate and this one. So while we're waiting, we can cut our foil. And I just have a craft knife and a cutting surface, and I know that I want to have my foil about about 3 inches wide, and then it'll be about 4.5 or 3 inches tall, 4.5 wide. And these rolls are 5 inches wide. So all I'm going to do is lay it out. And just put my, you just want to try to cut it as evenly as possible, because if you start wrinkling up the foil and stuff, it will damage it a little bit. And that's our rainbow foil, which comes with the kit, which is very pretty. Okay, and then we can, if we cut it at 4.5, then we still have that little strip. And those little strips, if you have any of the sentiments, you can easily use it for those sentiments. So this one here, the Glitter Wishes, you could easily foil a sentiment. So that's going to be used for that, and then we'll do this one after, but we can go ahead and cut it while we're waiting. Do you guys have a glimmer machine, or are you thinking about getting it? Or let's see, this one, I'll do it about 2 and 2.5, and you can save all your unused pieces. And once we use them as well, you can still save it, because you can get the solid plates that are in the shop, and then you can actually foil the negative. And I don't have one right here, but okay, so our little pieces are cut. This we can save for next time, and we can set this aside. And then we'll put our machine back up here. You have one, Lorraine, do you love it? Okay, so our light is on. You can see it's green now. So once your light turns on, I'm trying to think about what I want to do, whether I want to put that on. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape this down, because I don't want it to move around. So I've got my white cardstock here. I've got some of the Spellbinders craft tape. And you always want to have that matte side next to your paper, and you always want to be able to have the shiny side, the colored side, next to your foil plate. So whether you're just laying them on here, if you were layering it right now, you'd put your foil plate, you'd put your foil, and then lay your cardstock on top. I'm just doing it upside down because I kind of want to have things taped on a little bit. But you'll be able to figure out how you want to layer your project. So basically I'm just centering it and bringing up just a tiny bit from the bottom because we will die cut it. Okay, now I can put my tape on. And I just feel like it's a little more secure with me taping it down. And all I'm doing is wrapping it around, and then I know it's really not gonna move. And now I'm going, hi Katie, I'm gonna put this right on here now. So even though it's on with my paper and with the foil, it's fine. And then I'm gonna press my timer button. And if you feel, I think the plate, yeah, it's laying flat. If you felt like you needed something to keep it down a little bit, you could put a little bit of water or something, a cup of water, but I think it's fine. I guess we'll find out. We'll find out together. So this is on here. This is gonna flash. When it's done flashing, then we know that we can take it out and put it through our machine. So I think, I haven't done a lot of research on this, but I think maybe there's, I don't know, like a glue that's in this that's heating up in the foil. That's what someone said, but I have not researched that. Hi, Sheila. So I'm not exactly sure how the hot foil works, but that the plate heats up and then you're pressing using pressure to adhere that. So that's hot now. That's telling us our plate is hot. If you didn't want to put your foil and your paper on beforehand, this is when you'd put it on. So you're gonna discharge that from the docking system. Then you want to have the green shim placed on first and the spacer pad placed on. So if I did not tape that down and just laid everything on, right now I would probably put a few pieces of tape on, but because it's taped, I think that's fine. So all you do is you have this glimmer pad that we've just taken out. Yes, I do have the mono sand eraser. And then we're just going to turn this. Actually, before I do this, I felt like it was working really well with this shim. So I'm going to put that F shim from that universal plate system just for a teensy bit more pressure. Yeah, I actually dug through my supplies and I grabbed this out today, and I have used it when it does overfoil, and it works really great. So I'm going to go back through. And there are, sorry, the camera's moving. There are lots of videos online. Spellbinders has lots of videos. So don't feel bad about watching and just making sure you're comfortable with things. I'm gonna put it right back in so it starts to heat up because we want to do our little note. So then we can take this off. And remember, it is just paper, so if for some reason it didn't work, we can try again. Now that's hot, so you're gonna have to be careful. And this is where we can bring this. This is a non-stick and heat resistant, so I'm not worried about that, but if we were worried about it, we can just use our little hot plate. You can also just set this aside to cool down. And oh, it's so pretty. I really cannot wait to get, I ordered the plain foiling plate so that you can use the negative. So I'm just being careful not to touch this, but really, you know what, I'm just going to leave the foil on that so I don't have to worry about that. Set it aside. And here's our beautiful foiled, I know, it's so fun. Yeah, thanks, Irene, and it worked well. And then we'll use Katie's idea to, oh, maybe that wasn't some overflow. If you have any little pieces, I don't worry about that too much, but just to show you how easily that comes off. Works great with that sand eraser. So here's our foiled background. Then what we're going to do here, I'm going to die cut a circle around this, so I'm not super worried about where it is exactly, but we'll just put it on, and we can reuse that tape as well. I'm just not taking it off because it's hot right now. We'll just do that. Our light is on. Let's see, move this over so you guys can see it. Our light is on, so this tells us our platform is hot and ready for us to put our plate on, and then we're going to press the timer, and when it stops flashing, that lets us know that it's hot enough. Then we can take a die for the outside. This die, for some reason, it die cuts this little tiny edge that you would never use, because by the time you take it out, it looks like, I don't know why that's there. Anyway, all right. Let's see if our plate's cooled down. Yes, it is. We can reuse this tape. Hello, Marie. Thanks, Lorraine. Yeah, it's so pretty, and I really love that rainbow. This die, I think, is Studio Cadia, and we'll just tape it on. I'm not gonna tape over my foiling because I don't think it would pull it off, but I don't know. So we'll just put that on. Then we can try out our new plates, because this is the first time I've used them, and I will admit it hurts me a little bit to cut into a new plate. Do you guys feel the same way? Okay, so our die cutting sandwich, we've got our A in there, this is B, then we're going to do our cutting plate. So the same, except you're adding an extra little platform. Then we've got our cardstock and our die and our top cutting plate. So we'll just get it over with and make the die cut, right? Isn't it hard though to make that first die cut, because you know, like your little plate will never be as shiny as it is right now. And this is hot. So what I'm going to do with this is just take it out, and then as soon as we run this through, we can run through our glimmer. Then we can remove those. We've got the green and the clear spacing pad, and I do have a little bit of foiling that got onto this. It's totally fine, it won't hurt it. I know, but you know what? It's better for us to use our craft supplies than to let them sit there and be lonely, right? We'll just push this through one more time. It's so tiny. And you can grab this from the bottom, like this plate. It's warm, but it's not hot. And we can go ahead and turn that off now because we don't have anything else to foil. And we can grab our little die like that. So you can do letterpress techniques with, look how pretty that looks. So nice. It's always so exciting. All right. So definitely I'm going to try those letterpress techniques with the Glimmer machine. I feel my pain, Lorraine. Let's see. You were die cutting with new plate today, Katie? Oh, stitched petals. Oh, how are the stitched ornaments? I bet they're beautiful. I saw some stitched leaves, I think, on the Spellbinders site, and I thought, oh, I might have to get Scrap Shotz to order those in for me. They look very fun. Stitching is kind of one of those things, when you start doing it, you realize how relaxing it is. So there's our pretty foiled card base, or the front of our card. We've got this one here, and we're going to die cut it, and then we can do some watercoloring. And I usually just stick my tape off to the side, and I find that this lasts quite a long time. I can use it up to 10 times, and all right, I usually do try to keep one cutting plate as my cutting on plate and keep one as my top. Do you guys rotate yours, or do you find that you just use one? So these dies here, the circle die is from Pink Fresh. And it comes with 4 dies, and so you've got 2 different sizes of circle sets. This one and then a larger one. So this one has that little stitching detail, which is cute. You rotate it. Katie, it's the Spellbinders. It's called Best Ever Craft Tape. And I do really like it. All right, let's set this stuff aside, and then we can go ahead with our watercoloring, and I'll show you this Vicki Boutin watercolor set. There's our card. So the set comes in a little box, and you also get a water pen with it. I have mine filled with water. Of course, you'll have to fill yours. And then you get these little palettes of shiny, shimmery paint. So you can take them out. They just come out, or you can keep them in this. But I think these would be a really nice little thing to travel with as well, and I'm really impressed with how nicely they work. Also, you can use them on dark cardstock. I think they probably have like a mica in them, and it makes it shimmery and shiny. I used some pink on the back and some yellow. So I thought we would just color our flowers in and color in around the outside here. So you can either use the water pen that comes with it, or you can just grab a paintbrush. It's probably a good idea to have some water just to rinse off your brush, or you can squeeze your brush if you're rinsing it. So it's just a little bit easier probably to have some water to the side. I don't have a little container here right now, but so we're just going to squeeze ours out. All right. So I wanted to do this in rainbow order, so I'm just coloring it the same way as the colors here are on that foil. And I kind of found it was easiest to drip a little bit of paint in to that paint palette. Hello, Betty. How are you doing? Yes, these paints are very pretty. And I'm really just not doing anything crazy, just coloring in like a color by number type thing. So this part was green foil, so I colored that green. And then I want to rinse out, actually before I rinse it out, we're going to do a few splatters. So we're going to do green and pink splatters. So let's move this out of the way and put this over here a little bit so we can do our splatters. So to do some splatters, you just get some paint on your brush. And I'm not squeezing any more water into this. I just squeezed it a little bit, and then we're just tapping. You're doing good today, I'm glad. And that's just gonna dry on there. We're not gonna touch it right now. And then we can just squeeze and rub our brush to clean it off. Or if you have a little pot of water, you can just rinse it like a regular paintbrush. Okay, then we're gonna use the yellow. And it's really nice and shimmery. And you can add more or less water depending on, you could spritz it with water. There's lots of options. However you feel like you want to watercolor. And we can probably zoom in a little bit here. Is anybody getting some fall weather? It's still very warm in Calgary. I think the high is 20 today, but you can kind of feel first thing in the mornings and in the evening, you can definitely feel that fall chill is in the air. And this is so pretty. So this die here, this hot foil plate rather, is one that comes with the Glimmer machine. Now let's go over our little die cut mat. Here's the front of it. So I'm just adding some color to the side or the edges, and it really looks beautiful. And if you felt like it needed to be a little darker, you could let it dry a little bit and then come back and go over it as well. I'm not really adding any extra water to that, so it's a little bit darker. And we don't need too much. I'm just putting enough to cover the edge part, maybe just a little bit more around the edge. I always love it when paints show up on dark or light cardstock. Okay, so we can just set that aside. Give our paintbrush a little wipe. Set that aside to dry. We've got some splatters over here, so we'll wipe those up. And then we can do our, maybe we'll do the pink here, and then we'll do the purple more over here. You can mix these colors as well. We are starting to see some fall colors though. I went for a little walk after I dropped Erica off at school, and there was one tree that had red leaves, and some of the trees had some yellow showing in it. So once that starts here, it usually doesn't take too long. We'll just color in all these pink areas. And I think because we're going for that watercolor rainbow look, if you went out of the lines a little bit, I don't think it's a big deal. Okay, so we'll kind of stop there. Actually, before we put that one away, we've got a mat of black, and we'll do the same thing with the pink around the edge. Her sister's in Mississauga and has been seeing fall colors for a while. Interesting. Yeah, it does look metallic, hey? I grew up in Nova Scotia, and we would have fall colors from probably October right through till, you know, the snow fell. So late November. So you just have so many. So it always surprises me when we have fall colors and then 2 weeks later, sometimes the leaves are all gone. You kind of have to really make a point to get out if you want to see some fall colors and go for a drive, to get out like within a week or two, because you never know. So we usually try to go to Bragg Creek is really nice and has some really beautiful fall colors and fall trees. Get some nice pictures there. And just go on a little drive to anywhere that we can get really nice view of some fall. All right, so we'll let this dry. There's definitely better colors in Nova Scotia. It's amazing the difference. So I'd say that's one of the things that I miss, I think, is that those fall colors and the fall leaves that last so long. All right, now we can go to our purple. So we'll do a little bit of this. This is more like a pinky purple. Maybe we'll do a bit of this, which is darker. And then we could mix a little bit of that blue in for some darker purple right there. So in order to mix some in, you want to bring it off to the side because you don't want to mix the blue into the paint. So we've got some pink on the side. Then let's do a few of our little splatters while we have this on our brush. This just looked kind of fun. And then we'll get a little bit of this blue. So before I mix it in, I'm actually going to do the edge here blue because I've got the blue on my brush. And I did have a pumpkin spice latte the other day, which was my first pumpkin spice latte, and it was very good. From Starbucks. All right, so we can mix this in and look how pretty that mixes in. Now, if we wanted to add a little bit more purple, we could use another brush, or sorry, more blue. but I'm fine with this. So see how that made just a little bit of a purple color. And I think you can never go wrong with a rainbow type palette. All right, I think that's all we need to do for that. Oh yes, now this is just regular white cardstock because I was foiling on it. But if you wanted to do some watercoloring with that, you could use, you see here, this one is Vicki Boutin Foundations paper. And you can definitely, you know, if you want to create some kind of a background, you can add water directly to your paper and then add your watercolors in, or you can just paint them on, or you could do a little kind of splat kind of thing, which is always fun. Anyway, so there's lots of ways to use these, but painting them on to the foil or a stamped image is definitely a very easy way, but very pretty, hey? I can bring it to your madly pricing and terrifying. I know. Tammy has her hand up and she said she's coming to shop and you can drop stuff off with her. Oh, good. Yeah, because the foil creates, I'm talking to Katie when I say good, but the foil creates that resist. So yeah, it's fun to add any kind of watercoloring in there. This, I think it's pretty much dry, but because we're going to start layering it now, we could just give it a shot with the heat gun. And these two, just to make sure that they're dry. Or you could just set them aside till you know they're completely dry. Look how nice and shiny that is, huh? I really like this though. I think you could layer those and make a really nice background. Set those aside, and you don't need to, those will just dry and be completely dry afterwards. You don't need to do anything with them other than just set them aside to let them dry. Okay, let's grab our card base. And because this is just thin and it's a little bit warped, I'm just going to use, you could use some double-sided tape, or I just want to make sure the edges go down. And I'm also going to use my art glitter glue, but this will just keep it down while the art glitter glue is drying. And then it'll be nice and flat. That's our card, our base on there, our background. Then I thought we could add a little bit of ribbon. We also want to glue this on, so let's glue this on first. The top, it does. I'm matching what I'm making today. Thanks for noticing. Not planned, but it did work out, hey? All right, so I know that I want this about here, and I'm gonna put some ribbon on, probably about there. So I think what I'll do, so that I actually get this straight, let me see. That was about 1.5 inches. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of tape right here. And I'm just going to adhere that to the center. And scissors. Can add a little bit of this so that I know it's going to hold, but the tape gun is just going to hold it right away. Then we can add on some foam tape. I'm getting down to the end of that big roll. It does make a difference if you add a little bit of extra layers to your cards if you can. Sometimes if you're mailing them, you do have to be a little more conscious about what will go through the mail, but if you can add a couple layers, sometimes that just really makes a difference. I don't use a whole lot of ribbon on my cards, but I felt like this kind of needed a little bit of, you know, something a little bit fancy because we're doing the glimmer and the rainbow. Okay, and then we're even going to add just a little bit of foam on the back of here. So it's not crazy. We don't have a crazy amount of foam on there. But if you felt like you wanted it, you know, to have a little dimension but not quite that much, then you could maybe just die cut out a couple layers to give you that little bit of dimension. And then I'm just going to eyeball that. Does that look on fairly straight? We're going to say it's straight. And we'll make a little bow. Yeah, Scrap Shotz has lots and lots of product coming in for the show. If you guys are going to be in Calgary and either at the crop or shopping. Okay, let's put on a glue dot just to hold that. If you guys use ribbon, what kind of ribbon do you use? Our theme this month in the Scrap Shotz paper crafting group is summer memories. So if you have a card or scrapbook page showing us, you know, or inspired by something you did this summer. So the the card at the top of the page in the Scrap Shotz paper crafting group is by Lorraine, and she watched a lot of baseball or went to a lot of baseball games. And so she made a really great baseball card. I just grabbed some rainbow sequins. I find with these picket fence ones, you just have to be very careful that you don't open it in a way that everything sprays all over the place. But you could make a scrapbook page with pictures from the summer, or if you did gardening, your card could have flowers on it, any kind of stuff like that. So we would definitely love to see what you've been doing. Let's see. Let's put all these sequins on. These little flowers, most of these are just old ones that I've had in my stash for a while. I think maybe these were Studio Cadia. And this jewel picker is from Studio Cadia. I find these little flowers, because they're dimensional, you almost have to just leave them for a few minutes and then the glue will stick them on. Let's see what else we need. We need, oops. So we've got door prizes, and we've got a cute little gift for on the table for anyone who's coming to craft to crop. There's also at Scrapaganza, there's also Toonie make and takes, and you can participate in those if you're cropping or if you're shopping and you want to make a card or try something out. There's going to be a demo booth there, so you'll be able to see kind of some demos of different things. Let's see, let's grab a couple more colors. So it should be a lot of fun. We'll have a little photo booth area set up. And if you can't come, we will be doing I want this bigger sequin here. We will do a couple lives from the show. So next Thursday, we won't have that was stuck on there. We won't have a demo, a live happening, but we will just kind of say hi from the show. And we'll do some photos and do some pictures and do a couple lives from Scrapaganza, which is next weekend. I never did, Linda, think that I would ever get through that role. All right, I think we've done everything. So there we go. There's our pretty foiled rainbow card. So I'm definitely having fun with this glimmer machine. I think there's a lot more that I can try. And here again are those other cards that I was showing you today. That's Stitched Joy, and that same flower just made into a Christmas card. Thanks, Katie. Yeah, I think this was pretty fun, and just looks like a fun, pretty card to send to a friend, and it's nice and shiny. All right, well, that is it for today. Thanks, Betty. Thanks, Irene. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Scrap Shotz will be getting ready for the show next week, so there are lots of new things in the shop. If you haven't checked from the September new items in stock, There's lots of fun things. And as we kind of get closer to the show, our shipping might be delayed a little bit because we'll be just packing Wednesday and then Thursday setting up. And of course, Friday and Saturday is the show, so there'll be a little bit of a delay there. So if there's anything you feel like you really, really need, then just get your order in right away. Thanks, Lorraine. Otherwise, yeah, we will have fun at the show, Katie. Thanks. Yeah. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out with me and crafting, and I will talk to you later. Bye.